and welcome to the This Way Out podcast, a part of the This Way Out project. My name is Miguel Mata, and I would like to personally thank you for tuning in today to share some of your valuable time. This podcast is all about being a source of positive energy and messages. Here, I try to help those struggling with issues that can weigh heavily on the mind and make the world we live in seem like a dark and impossible place. I do this by sharing advice from personal experience, through stories from ordinary people who have overcome their own challenges, and other uplifting stories to help shed some light on the world we live in. In the end, my mission is to support you and help you feel better about yourself and your surroundings. All I'm asking for is a chance. Let's get started. Good morning. It's Monday, June 15th, 2020. How's everybody doing? You doing okay? My goodness. It has been a bear of a time to stay positive right now. I tell you what, goodness gracious. How are you guys handling all the drama on social media? Are you stepping away? I can't help myself sometimes. I keep engaging and re-engaging and staying connected. But here as of late, as a matter of fact, today, I had my fill. So there's just one too many negative inputs. So I had to shrink my circle. I had to drop a few people who, I considered friends, Facebook friends. I don't have anything against these people personally. I know them fairly well, but as far as our Facebook friendship, our Facebook connections, had to cut them loose. They're just a little bit too negative for my liking, and I felt my own energies start to get drained and start to be impacted by by that stuff. So cut them loose. You have to. How are you guys handling that stuff? Are you doing the same thing? Are you cutting people loose? Are you shrinking your circle? I have to. I gotta think about myself, my own mental health. I gotta think about myself, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Think about how you're processing this stuff, and if it's overwhelming, if it's too overwhelming, you might have to do the same thing. You might have just cut some people loose. Especially social media wise. Social media wise, it's easy. Just bam, unfriend, right? Or unfollow. It's that easy. But I had to think of myself. I had to think of my own well-being, my own mental health, because I could feel it. I could feel the drain. And that is kind of what this podcast episode is going to be about. It's going to be about those toxic people. Toxic people. I've been hearing a lot. This term used a lot lately. Toxic people, toxicity, that sort of stuff. Sorry, that was a bad joke. It's Britney, bitch. Yeah. I'll probably cut that out. It's a bad joke. But, toxic people. I don't necessarily know what defines a person as being toxic. I don't. For me, it's kind of a wishy-washy term that's thrown around for people that it could be someone who is mean. It could be somebody who's negative. It could be just someone who people don't like, right? Like, I don't like that person. They're toxic. The term gets thrown around loosely. I define someone as being toxic when they drain my energy, right? When their presence, their voice, their words, you know what I mean? It drains me. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's talking again. I feel like, you know, I feel my energy levels just being, my life force just being sucked out of me. This guy talks, or when this gal talks, you know, because, you know, there's just some people who are just so, you know, they're so negative, and I can't be around these people. And I like to think that I'm someone who can, you know, who tries to get along with most everybody. You know what I mean? I try to be tolerant of most people. I try to be tolerant of most people's feelings and that sort of stuff. And I would like to think that I do a fairly good job of being empathetic and connecting to people's emotions and what they're feeling and that sort of stuff. I'd like to think that I do that rather well. So I'm not bothered by, well, generally speaking, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about being surrounded by people who have differing opinions than I have, you know. But, you know, sometimes people have a way of, you know, for some people, they just have a way of expressing their thoughts and their, you know, their feelings and their whatever they're dealing with, their, you know, whatever they're dealing with inside their mind, inside their bodies or whatever, it comes out in their words. And you could just sense that there's just something there that's just like, there's something there that ain't right, man. There's something there that ain't right, and I need to get away from it because it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. You are not making me feel well. Your presence makes me feel ill. So I can't be around it. And in a way that has a little bit to do with, you know, kind of like growing up, you know, experiences from being a kid, you know, and being familiar with what toxicity looks like, what it feels like, and how I feel about, and being exposed to that stuff early on, and knowing that I didn't want to be, I knew the kind of people that I didn't want to be around, right? So now as a grown up, right? As a grown up, I know exactly the kind of people that I don't want in my space, right? So make sure to make it a point to, you guys are cool over there, you know, I don't wish ill on you, but you stay over there, and you folks, you know, maybe you stay over there, you know, we could talk, chit chat, whatever, but, you know, we're not going to be chummy because there's just that there's something there, you know, there's some of that negativity stuff. And what I do is I cut them all off, you know. I can't have it in my space. That's my definition of toxicity, of toxic people. Those people that are they just drain your energy, you know. Can't have it, man. I'm trying to have peace in my life. And that's what you guys should be working on too, you know. You guys should be working on that stuff too. And that's what I'm speaking to. And, you know, it's especially hard. I get it. It's especially hard when those that are affecting you, right? Affecting your mental health, when those that are affecting your physical health, right? Because you feel ill, it can be tough when these people are family, right? Now that's when it can get especially complicated, right? It can get really complicated when the people that make you feel, you know, when these people are family, and you're just dead set on trying to foster these relationships and keep these relationships intact because, you know, you believe that keeping these relationships, keeping connected with these people is something that you're supposed to do, right? It's something that you want to do. I'm supposed to have this connection with my mom or with my dad or with my sister or with my brother. You know, I'm supposed to have this. This is supposed to work. So I have to make this work. But I'm here to tell you, sometimes you have to think of your own well-being. Does that make sense? You know, and I understand how maybe that might sound a little selfish. It might sound a little selfish. But as someone who believes they can speak to this stuff pretty confidently, life has a way of working out when these entities are not in your space. Does that make sense? Okay. You want for those relationships to work out. And you should absolutely do whatever it takes to foster those relationships and make them work. You should. Communication is a big part of that. Expressing yourself, your emotions or feelings, how these people make you feel. Expressing yourself, putting that out there into the world and say, look, this is how I feel when I'm around you. When you do or say or do X, Y, or Z, I get the heebie-jeebies. I don't like the way that feels. If you continue to just do or say X, Y, or Z, and I continue to get the heebie-jeebies, this relationship ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. At some point, you have to have, that conversation, be it family or not. At some point, you got to have that conversation. If you want it to work. If you want it to work. If you want these relationships to work, you have to have those conversations. And then, you have to establish boundaries, right? You got to set boundaries. You got to set guidelines. You got to set limitations. There's this saying that I read somewhere that says, gosh, how did it go? I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna butcher it, but it goes something like this: givers have to set boundaries. My hat looks all jacked up. Vanity. Givers have to set boundaries on takers, right? Because takers, they don't, right? And toxic people, that's what they are. They're takers. They're takers of energy, right? Here you've got this energy, this positive energy about you. You got this energy about you, right? And toxic people absorb that. They take it, right? They take that with their own issues. God bless them. God bless them. One can only hope that they get the help that they need for the issues that they have, right? But for those people, those toxic people, those people are takers. They're takers of energy. They take. So as a giver of energy, someone who's trying to do good with their lives, someone who's trying to keep things positive, someone who's trying to live in a better space, in a better life, in a better light, right? As someone who's trying to do that, then you have to set boundaries. You have to set limitations on just how much energy you give away, because that's what happens. That's typically what happens. That's what's happening, right? The toxic person comes in and then takes that energy away. And at some point, you got to cut it. You have to think about your mental health. You have to think about your physical health. You have to think about how you feel, the emotions that you experience when you're around these people. And if it becomes too much, you have to make yourself a priority and cut them loose. It can be a difficult process. It can be a not fun process, especially because, toxic people, in my experience, who are being cut off. I keep doing that. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that throughout the episode. Let me know if it's annoying, or maybe not, because you're watching and I'm not, and I can't hear you. This ain't live. But toxic people, when they realize that their energy source, right, their source is going to be taken away from them, they will fight. They will fight, and they will say things, and they will do things that are hurtful and harmful, and they're going to make it worth their while. They're going to be losing you. They're going to be losing you as a source. They're going to make it hard. They're going to make it hard. And you're going to walk away with some bumps and bruises, some mental bumps and some emotional bruises. But trust me when I tell you, if you cut yourself loose of these toxic people, you will be doing a whole lot of good for yourself. But at the same time, here's the other thing. But wait, there's more. If you've been exposed to a toxic person for a very long time, more than likely you've suffered some damage right? So you're going to need to talk through that stuff. You're going to need to talk through that stuff with someone else that you trust, with someone else who's willing to listen, with a mental health professional. You're going to have to unload some of that stuff, right? But trust me, just trust me. When you go through that process, when you end up on the other end, when you've disconnected yourself, when you removed yourself, when you've taken charge of your own life, of your own space, you'll be a whole lot better off. You'll be a whole lot better off. And once again, I go back to, if it's family, it gets that much more complicated. I just caution you to, if it's family, it's going to be that much more complicated. You should go the extra mile to attempt to make it work because it is family. I get that. And that's true. But at some point, you got to think about your own situation. You got to think about your own situation at some point. In the end, you have to realize you deserve happiness. We all do. We all deserve some peace. We all deserve happiness. And if we continue to surround ourselves, allow ourselves to be quote unquote manipulated by people who take away from us in that fashion, those toxic people, the chances aren't very good that you're going to find that peace and that happiness. And unfortunately, that's really the meat and potatoes of that message, of that reality. If we don't make ourselves a priority, if we don't make our peace and our own happiness a priority, nobody will do that for us. And especially the people that won't do it for us are those toxic people that are draining us of our light, if that makes sense. Our light, if you will. So yeah, man. And all of that came up with these recent Facebook experiences. It's like, man, bro, I feel you. I think you're really cool, man. I think you're really cool. But this energy you're putting off in this space, it ain't working for me. It ain't working for me. And we're gonna have to cut you loose. So that's just that's just how it works out sometimes. That's just how it works out sometimes. But I had to think about myself, and just like I'm suggesting to you, in this podcast episode, is that when it comes to people like that, that negativity, that negative space, that negative energy that can take away from your positive energy, at some point you got to say, I am important, so I am going to make me first. So I can't be around it anymore. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. I get it. I get how difficult it is. I get what it feels like. I think we all know. I think we've all had some experiences like that. But I can also vouch for that when you remove yourself from those people, life has a tendency to work out. It has a tendency to work out. And I'd like to think that stuff's pretty good over here on my end. So you can't, you know what, if you want peace and you want happiness, you can't, it's not, you can't have that in your space. You can't have it. And it's unfortunate, you know, when it's especially challenging, especially unfortunate when it's your own family. But you deserve happiness, just like anybody else. So, yeah, just reading my notes as I go along. But that's going to be the episode for today. I just went over 20 minutes here, so we're gonna go and wrap this up here. That's the episode. Remember, the This Way Out podcast is available on Spotify. You're about to hear it all over again, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's available on Spotify, Castbox, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Always looking for guests. So, you know, if you want to be a guest, you want to chit chat for a little while, tell me your story. You know, if you got a positive story, if you got a story of overcoming challenges, you know, I'm always up for listening to a good story. I love hearing a good story, and I love sharing them too. Yeah, so if you have one and you want to be a guest on the podcast, there will be information in the outro that will help you to get in touch. And it actually should be like right over here somewhere, my email address. So yeah, this is a work in progress, this Way Out podcast thing and interviews. So be a little patient with me. I appreciate you tuning in. You guys take care. I'm really, really, really proud of you. I think you're doing awesome work. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm sure it's awesome, and I'm very proud of you. You guys take care of yourself. We'll talk to you again on Thursday. God bless. This has been the This Way Out podcast, a part of the This Way Out project. The This Way Out podcast can be found on Google, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Castbox. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to hear future episodes, please subscribe. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, recommend future topics, provide feedback, or any other reason, you can comment on this episode or send me an email at thiswo.light@gmail.com. That's thiswo.light@gmail.com. If you're interested in the other aspects of the This Way Out project, be sure to visit my website at thiswo-light.com.